They cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. I'm not putting restrictions. They cannot have one thing. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if I think that they will have a nuclear weapon, despite what I just said, I think that's going to be very unfortunate for them.
On one hand, you'll have the President of the United States seeking a continuation of this peace agreement, an ability to move forward. But within Israel, there's an understandable sense that this is not over yet. Hamas has not been destroyed.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangers.
You realize Trump has been in office now for 15 days, and his first foreign leader visit in the Oval Office is with the Prime Minister of Israel. That sends a signal not only to the people of this nation, but to the Middle East and around the world that this is obviously very significant to President Trump and to his administration.
Whether Donald Trump is ignoring history, ignorant to it, or indifferent about it, he is the American president. Maybe it's all a negotiating ploy. Whichever it is, he is rewriting the rule book again, and this time with the future of Gaza at stake.
And interestingly, those were some of the same characters who, in 2017, when the president made the announcement about the move of the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, were insisting that the sky was going to fall and the streets were going to run with blood, and Israel didn't want this to happen and would be attacked. And again, these are talking points from the far Israeli right. Well, that didn't turn out to be the case. Ambassador Friedman and President Trump and Jared Kushner moved that embassy at warp speed, and there was peace in Jerusalem that day. Now, CNN, which you showed riots in Gaza miles and miles away, but Jerusalem was at peace that day. It was a great day for Jerusalem. It was a day of truth, and I think that's what today was at the White House. And as you say, what President Trump is offering the Palestinians is what he has always offered them: peace through prosperity. He wants them to have a better future. It's theirs to take.
You know, the Middle East has been unstable for a long time, but I think that we can all agree that during the 4 years that President Trump was president, that it was safer and that Iran was neutralized to an extent until the last 4 years, the prior 4 years, when Iran became much more viable, much more dangerous.
Why say that you're unhappy to sign it if it's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani?
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That would be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why. Lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader, or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran.
The reaction from the gathered audience reflected the enormity of what he'd just said.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too.
He had just announced the takeover of Gaza, owning it, occupying it. It wasn't clear, and it certainly wasn't expected.
You are talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there? Redevelopment?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent.
It's not clear who he had spoken to, but even Sky sources close to the top of the Israeli government did not know about the idea. And despite trails of other plans for Gaza, this one came from nowhere.
And I don't want to be cute, I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so this could be so magnificent.
Perhaps tellingly, Netanyahu did not pass particular judgment on the idea.
No, it's been another momentous day in, I would say, the most momentous first 2 weeks of any president's tenure. And today we heard President Trump come out and say what no American leader has had the courage to say before, which is that the United States is willing to step in here and play the leadership role we need to play. The situation in Gaza is untenable. What happened on October 7th of 2023 cannot happen again. And the only way to ensure that is to break the paradigm, to create a new mold. And I think that's what he was proposing today in concert with Prime Minister Netanyahu.
So I'm signing this, and I'm unhappy to do it, but I really have not so much choice because we have to be strong and firm, and I hope that it's not going to have to be used in any great measure at all. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. With me, it's very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We don't want to be tough on Iran. We don't want to be tough on anybody, but they just can't have a nuclear weapon.
So, David, I think the question is how far or how much toughness will be placed on Iran? Like, will this be the end? Will there be conversations about whether or not it's necessary for a strike in Iran? I don't think President Trump has suggested he has an appetite for that.
No, that has been, failure is the word. For the last 50 years, Laura, we've been trying to make the Palestinians into something that they're not, which is a nation state. And until they build institutions, until they build institutional memory, this simply isn't going to work. So reporters insisting that the president embrace a two-state solution, this has failed for half a century. And so I think what he is saying is we will not go down this path again. And the same people who told us that we couldn't get to peace deals between Israel and Muslim neighbors until we got to a Palestinian deal 10 years ago, they were wrong. These people are wrong, too. And it has always been my hope there may be some Palestinians who say, hey, this is a good deal. The president is a businessman. He's a real estate guy. He knows a great piece of land when he sees it. Maybe we can build something here.
But tonight, especially with this Gaza announcement or the floating of the Gaza proposal, how significant?
It's very significant for the president to host as his first visit Prime Minister Netanyahu, and to focus not only on Gaza and building the relationship between Israel and Saudi Arabia, but delivering this blunt, stark warning to Iran, which is now a nuclear threshold state with a pretty effective ballistic missile capability. That was about as clear a warning as you're going to hear.
That we want to make sure that Israel can exist in peace. Now, obviously, Israel is surrounded by enemies around its borders, but the United States will always be Israel's greatest ally.
And people have to remember that the Palestinian control of the Gaza Strip is a recent phenomenon. People who aren't steeped in the history of the Middle East, as tumultuous as it is, and may think that, well, how can you do this? This is a homeland going back. Well, no, this was recently administered as under the authority of the Palestinian Authority, but that stemmed ultimately from the Oslo Accords, Victoria, and we can see that unfortunately it has been an abysmal failure. And Trump doesn't like to see parts of the world failing that America has sent billions and billions of dollars to.
He just unlocked about $1 billion worth of major weaponry towards Israel. These 2,000-pound bombs that Biden had refused to Israel are now en route. Now, they're only there for one purpose. Israel doesn't need 2,000-pound bombs for any reason other than to attack Iran's nuclear facility. So, the signals are being sent. This is the classic Trump carrot and stick. You want to mess with me? Between the United States and Israel, especially after Israel just, flew into Iran a few months ago, destroyed all their air defense mechanisms, after Iran sent 300 ballistic missiles at Israel, didn't kill a single person. I mean, we know who's going to win this battle. So Trump's setting up the stick pretty carefully, but he also he doesn't want to. And I don't think anybody wants to. I don't think Israel wants to either. If there's a way to verify Iran's permanent end of a nuclear arsenal, it's better for the whole world. And I think that's certainly going to be the president's preference.